So I wanted to talk about this brand new album you have coming out in January because it is fantastic, and I know everybody's going to just absolutely love it. What was your kind of mindset when making the record? How did it come together? What kind of direction were you going with this album?
And figure out what I'm going to do for my next upcoming record. It was the first time I'd ever really had a lot of time off of the road to like craft songs and focus on it. So I immediately got to work working on that. And it came from a place that, which is kind of funny, when I was playing live, especially, you know, overseas, people would come up and they would say, "Man, that was a great show. You sound so much better live than you do on your recordings." And I would go, "Thank you." Like as if like, oh, I get it, it's a compliment, but I wanted to make a record that served as like the live menu for a show. So when you hear the record, you know exactly what you're walking into for the show, vice versa. So with the record, we sought out to record it as old school natural as possible. Primarily, we started with tracking as a band together, kind of
Okay.
like in an old school way. And the only overdubs were my vocal and just a few little guitar things, but otherwise everything was done live. And I think that's a really cool element. And we worked up all of the songs to feel as if it's only a trio. So we wanted to make sure that it felt full, it felt big, with as minimal amount of things as it could. And all in all, I'm really glad how it came out.
I think it's awesome. I think even if it was just you with your guitar singing, it's going to sound full and big.
Oh, thank you.
No, I've seen you live a few times. It's been a while. I think the last time was when you were out with John Five. So
Oh, okay. Where are you?
I'm
Where are
in
you at?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
So where do we play?
It
What?
was at Amos's South End.
Oh, wow. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a tiny
Yeah.
little club, but they have some
Hmm.
great shows come through. But yeah, that was the last time. So and yeah, it was just amazing. And I know there were a lot of people, well, obviously on a tour with John Five, and then add you into the mix, total
Hmm.
guitar people.
Yeah.
Everybody was in there, and they were just blown away. People who there were some young guys I remember because I've seen these young guys, and when I say young, I mean maybe 14,
Oh,
in
yeah.
that range. And I've seen them at a bunch of shows in
Uh-huh.
the area, and they were just blown away. They were so excited, like, I can't wait till he comes out. I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to see him. And they were
That's
just
awesome.
totally blown away from your performance that night. That's what stuck with me about the show was how stoked they were that you were
That's
coming out
awesome.
and like how impressed they were with the show.
That's so great because I mean that reminds me of something that I would do when I was 14, you
Absolutely,
know.
yeah, for
And
sure.
it's awesome. I think we can agree that like, there's kids out there that still get down like that. I think that's so great.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm sure like those are fans that are just going to love this new record.
Hmm.
And what's your process like as far as writing? And do you have these ideas ahead of time, or do you kind of just like start noodling around and then say, "Hey, this will be a song," or
Usually it's what you just said. It would be like I would like be at a sound check or like be at home and I'd come up with something and then I'd bring it to the band and be like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this for an idea?" And either I'd be like, "Yeah, that's kind of cool," or no. So with this record, I came up and it's kind of weird because it's the first time I wrote a bunch of stuff on an acoustic guitar.
okay,
Since I was at home, I was sitting with an acoustic writing all this stuff, really focusing on like what the melody would be with the chords behind it. And then what I did is something that I've never done. I took those songs, I stripped them all the way back to legit the words, like the melody and the guitar chords, and then I rebuilt them with the band. And we took about 7 days to go through all the songs and make them feel as alive and energetic as they could. But it was the first time I'd ever done that because usually my process is just kind of let it come as it will. It's more natural. It's not really forced. And not to say that I forced anything on this record, but I was very adamant to let the songs grow. I felt the way they needed to, not force them anywhere and just be like, okay, this song feels like this. Let's do this. Let's do something a little different. Or if something was really high energy, it's like, let's just go for it. Let's go high energy. If it's heavy, let's go heavy. Instead of being like, oh, is this too much? It's like, let's just go all in.
yeah. And there's a great mix on the album. All the songs, like, they're all you, and they're distinctively you can tell, but
Hmm.
yet there's little different flavors in the mix.
Totally. And that was something I thought that was really cool that I wasn't even thinking about until like I was in the moment. You know, it's so easy to get like stuck in your ways and be like, no, this is how everything's going to sound this way. And I think as musicians, sometimes we don't think about that overall picture. But when we were in the studio with this one, since I kind of let myself get out of my own way, it's like, just let the songs do what they're going to do and do my best to support them. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, I'm going to force this. And that did bring a lot of different flavors, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, I like the singles that were released. Of course, you know, you've got Hardwired, Down the Drain, but I also like the tracks like Hallelujah.
Oh yeah.
And I know people are just they're gonna eat that up. And I think that's one of my favorites with My Delusion. Those are
That's well, I'm so glad you love those songs because the one thing I keep thinking about is, man, I can't wait to play these songs live. I think it's
yes.
going to be really cool.
And you're gonna get a chance soon because in January you're gonna have some album release shows. One in LA,
Yeah.
one in
One in
Nashville.
LA, one in Nashville, and then there's a few more that we're firming up for after the
Okay.
holidays. It's weird. If I don't feel like it's already like Christmas time. It's crazy.
It's warm here.
It's
Warmer than
warm here
normal.
too.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel when it's almost 70, it doesn't feel like Christmas.
I know. It's really
But
strange.
then I have to jam the Christmas music and all the favorites, so then it'll get me into the spirit. So
Yeah, just keep jamming them.
so
But
well, okay, so since we're talking about that, have you thought
uh-huh.
about doing some holiday tracks ever?
Well, I have one that you need to hear.
Okay.
I guessed it on it. So a friend of mine, his name's Mark Martel. It's
Okay.
Marcmartel. And have you seen the Queen movie?
Yes.
He's the guy that sang all the parts.
Okay.
So his claim to fame, I mean, he's an amazing singer. He sounds just like Freddie Mercury.
Right. Yeah.
Like stupid. There's one video of him online doing like, I think he's doing like We Are the Champions, and it's legit has like 200 million views or something. But anyways, he invited me and like Joe Bonamassa and a
Ooh,
bunch of other people
nice.
to do Christmas songs. And he released the one with me. You have to hear it. It's a cover. It's the one That You, Santa Claus.
Okay. I'm gonna check that out.
Put it on your playlist. I think you'll like it.
All right. All right. Yeah, I like to hear all like different variations of songs and stuff like that. So I'm gonna press hard here for you to do one in the future though.
Yeah, I think I will. I definitely think I will. That'd be cool.
So now with the album release shows, I guess you're going to be playing a lot of the music from the new record.
I plan on playing the whole record down.
Cool.
Like what I think would be really cool is start it at the top and play it all the way down, and then afterwards, bring out some special guests.
Oh yeah, okay, awesome. That would be something to look forward to. It makes me sad that I don't live in Nashville now.
Yeah, come on, make the trip.
So, any other tour plans in the works for when New Year's coming in?
So we have a ton of stuff on hold right now.
Okay,
it feels good because it's finally like I've had all of these things that were supposed to happen or tours get canceled, and it finally feels like things are actually taking shape. It looks like we're going to be out from the end of February doing all of America, going over to Europe, the UK, hopefully, fingers crossed, all the way to Japan and back. So
wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's super exciting because, you know, with the record coming out, I feel like I want to give it the biggest push I can on my end. And also, I just want to get out and play.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm sick of sitting at home. I want to get out and play. I want to go have some fun.
Yes, and we want to come hear you. So that's a win-win for everybody.
Totally.
So I wanted to ask you because I did hear about your arm, your shoulder, or what's going on with that now? I mean, I know you got some hardware in there now.
I am heavy metal. I like. I'm good now. So yeah, when this happened, it would have been about a year ago. Last October, I was on the road with Blackstone Cherry, and we were playing in Florida. And I'll never forget the moment that we got off stage, and it was like the getting off stage, out of breath, sweaty. I remember like I took off my vest and I like threw it down, and like I was just trying to get all my stuff out of the way and like just stop. And I went to pick up a case, and when I went down to pull up on the case, I heard a little pop almost in my elbow, like a little, and I set it down and I went, what was that? And I thought, you know, like if you stand up and you get a cramp in your knee or whatever, that's what I'm thinking what happened. And my drummer Dennis is there, and I said, dude, I think I popped my elbow out, and I could hear a little,
Mm.
and I went, what just happened? So we went to by my tour manager, and he's like, does it hurt? And I said, not really. He's like, okay, that's good. He goes, because if you did something wrong, it probably hurt. He's like, let's go get it checked out. So we go to this emergency room, and imagine me walking in sweaty from head to toe, no shirt. They're like, where did this guy come from? And we saw that right above the elbow, I chipped a little piece of my bone off,
Mm.
and it sucked.
Yeah, I
So
imagine.
I thought, okay, just like you could put me in a cast or like even just something and I could keep going. And they said, no, we have to do a surgery
Ooh.
to put a plate over that to make sure it doesn't, no more chips off. And also we can't leave that little piece of bone in your body. So that sucked. And I'm so grateful because I'm good now. And it was, don't get me wrong though, you know, something like that, especially when I use my hands all the time, it was
Right.
obviously scary. But the one thing that was really weird was like when my, it's still to this day, like, you know, the nerves are coming back and like I'll have like little like muscle spasm. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes, I know exactly what you
Crazy.
mean. Yeah,
It's crazy.
my husband unfortunately um, lost part of his leg, so I
Oh
know
my
exactly what you
gosh.
mean about the twitching and the nerves and things coming back after surgeries and stuff like that. It's real, but I'm glad that it's good now and everything's
Everything's good. And obviously, you know, it's one of those things that makes you open your eyes too, to
sure.
go, okay, cool. Well, that just happened.
Yeah.
Maybe I, maybe I need to be a little more cautious of the things I try and do or whatever,
Yeah, maybe
you
let some
know?
of your crew pick up the cases when you're heading off
Exactly. Come
stage
on.
and let them haul the heavy stuff. But
Yes.
did it affect your ability as far as the style that you play? Did you have to make adjustments at first, or did it just heal and then you had to?
I had to make adjustments because I remember when I first picked up the guitar, the height that I'd normally had it at, which was a little lower, I could feel my
Mm,
arm doing this.
okay.
And I was like, oh, this is weird. I don't like it. So I put my guitar a little higher on the strap, and that kind of helped combat that. But thankfully, nothing, I didn't have to change anything. I just was able to adapt and roll with the flow. And then it naturally kept coming back together. But, you know, I thought about that too. And I thought, man, is this going to mess up the way I play? Am I going to have to do different stuff? But
Right.
thankfully, I'm good.
That's good. And I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that you've been playing guitar ever since you could pick one up. So
I
when did you
started,
first get started?
actually, you'd be surprised. I actually had no desire to play the guitar until I was about 15.
Okay.
I
Just like
really
those
want,
guys at the show.
yeah, I really wanted, I wanted to be a mechanic. That's what
Okay.
I wanted to do. And I wanted to work on old cars because that was like my first love. And I still love them. But I remember going to a talent show. I was like, seventh grade. And I remember seeing like the high schoolers and they were playing in the talent show. And these guys had electric guitars and long hair. And I was like, that's cool. And I liked old music. I liked Zeppelin and Sabbath and all this stuff. So I saw that and I was like, man, that'd be cool to try and play the drums. I want to be a drummer. And I remember I was like, everyone plays the guitar. I don't want to play the guitar. And my brother's friend had a drum set that he wasn't using. And he brought it to my house so I could use it. Like I conned it out of him. And I remember I was in the basement. I had a stereo so loud and I was trying to play along. And my dad, construction worker, comes home and he goes, no, not in my house. And it's the one time he put his foot down to me, like serious, like, dude, I'm not working from 4 a.m. to, to sundown just to hear you come home and play drums. So he said, why don't you get a guitar? It has a volume knob on it and you can take it with you. I was like, ugh. But eventually it piqued my interest. And when I first picked up the guitar, I'm a lefty. So
Okay.
I first wanted to hold it like a lefty. When I first picked it up and I was like told like, no, you got to play it righty, blah, blah, blah. I never really got along with a pick. So I started to use my fingers. And still to this day, I'm like a finger style guitar player. But what's funny is once I learned like my first riffs, like I remember the first riffs were like Electric Funeral by Black Sabbath. And then I learned, um, some Metallica riffs and Led Zeppelin, like really, really basic versions of them. I was hooked. I was like hooked. like to the point where it started, I'd play like a half hour a day, and then it was like an hour, and then I'd wake up in the morning and play before school. And then I just started bringing the guitar with me to school. I was so hooked on playing guitar. I just fell in love with it. And it gave me like something that I didn't get from anything else. So I never had dreams of being like a guitar guy, or even where I am now with it. Like I never dreamed of that. But it's cool that clearly the love endured, and now I get to do this for a living.
Absolutely, and we're very happy that your father set his foot down and
I
got rid of the
know.
drums.
Who knows where I'd be?
Well, I'm sure you would have been great at the drums too, if given the chance. But we certainly would miss hearing your albums and your live guitar stuff.
Totally, totally.
Well, I wanted to just thank you again for taking the time to chat with us.
Of
I hope
course.
everybody checks out the album. It's great. I can't wait till everybody can hear it in full, because they're going to it jams from start to finish. And like I said before, there's so many flavors and so many different nuances to it. There's really something for everybody.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm so glad you like the record. And I got to get back to what venues would it be? Not would it be Amos? Is that still there?
That is still there. Yeah.
Amos South End.
They survived, and we've got a Fillmore here in
Great.
Charlotte. We've got an underground. We've got
Oh, cool.
a cool independently owned neighborhood theater
Nice.
that a lot of people play at. They host a lot of acts, and I think any of those venues would be glad to have you come
I would
through.
love it. I would love it. Well, soon enough, I'll be there.
Okay, that sounds great. We'll look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kris.
Thanks again. Have a great day.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.